Okay. Uh, a very warm welcome and good evening to all the participants present. I'm Varsha Shaw, consultant psychologist, rehab administrator, and the co founder of Resilience, Defining the Undefined. I welcome you all on day 6 of 7 of this webinar series that has been organized on the occasion of International Day for Persons with Disabilities. Today we have with us Mrs. Jhuma Moitro. She is an assistant director at VRC. She'll be talking about vocational trainings that can be done for our children with learning issues. So, without any delay, I would request ma'am to please take over. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha. And like a very good evening to all of you. And my good wishes really goes towards Resilience for organizing this webinar series. And I think this is a learning experience for all of us, for the participants, for the speakers, for the children also. So and let it be a common thought for all of us that through this series of webinars we'll be extracting something very worthwhile from all of us, which will be a platform like to go forward and do something for these children, right? So, and I mean, at least let them feel that they are not excluded from the society, they should be included, right? So let us go on to it. I don't have a PPT. I mean, I will just speak extempo, and I would definitely ask all of you all, like, if there is any question, if there is any, like, we can do it at a later stage, right? Thank you so
Definitely.
much. Right. Yeah.
Participants, in any case, have any queries, you can write in the chat box. We can take it at the last.
Yeah, sure. Right. So, as Varsha has just now said, that I will be delivering on importance of vocational training for children with learning difficulties. Now, I will give just a small introduction of myself. Though I am termed as assistant director at the moment, I am head of office. But basically, I am a psychologist, and so my work was evaluating these children with disabilities who come to our center, and then form out a vocational plan for them, like what sort of a training module will be suitable for them, wherein the skills can be taught to them, so that they can make use of the skills in their daily life and go towards a source of income, practically like an economic rehabilitation for them, by which they can sustain themselves and their family members also, right? So it so when we come down to vocational training, initially just right stepping into the vocational training does not really help to understand the concept. We must go a little behind the scenes, as we call it. So shall we just brush through, like, I'm sure all the participants have a fair idea about children with learning difficulties, but shall we just brush through or walk through a little bit, like who are they, so that it gives a fair idea to us, like how we go forward
Yes,
to deal with them, right? Now, as we know that learning disability is a neurological condition, it's a neurological disorder, and a condition which perhaps cannot be cured. It's a lifelong issue, but with the right support, they can be, I mean, they can taste success, they can really reach on to a successful life. I'm sure about that. We have seen many cases who have really walked through life and come to a specific goal. Now, learning disability, as all of you all know, has a very wide spectrum. Like there are several factors like dyslexia and dyspraxia, attention difficult disorder, dyscalculia. So people, I mean the children who have the difficulty, these various sort of difficulties where they find it very difficult to write or learn or use their motor skills, various form, or the way to calculate, so it all becomes slightly problematic for these children. And the essence of their problem is that it is difficult for them to align to the standard school environment. I think maybe all of us have faced this issue, like when they are dealt in a different way, when we are in face to face with them or one to one situation, they fare well, they do well. But once they are put in a conventional school situation and a conventional, like orthodox way of putting things to them, or getting across to them for learning through writing and through board activity, it's a little, it becomes difficult for them. They find it difficult to catch it up, and ultimately they become so confused among themselves that the entire result become a little bleak. So what we should do is to find out the most efficacious way, like how to get across them, how to put across the things that we would like to learn them, and how they will, I mean, we can help them to get across the hurdles, right? Now, if we just start, suppose we start off with dyslexia, dyslexic people, it is actually a learning disorder characterized by learning difficulty, because that area of the brain which is affected with processing the language, correct? Am I right in that way? So what we have to deal with them, how do we have to deal with them, is if we go towards their symptoms, it is they generally have a late talking and delay in learning to read, learning new words very slowly. They have problems in identifying speech sound and learning how to relate to letters and words. That is the coding part. Like if I give you an example, say unfortunately, this word, they will be remembering un, and maybe ly later on. But the middle part is difficult for them to remember and to code out for them. So we have to think of a way to help them to remember the whole thing, maybe part by part, and then go towards the holistic approach. So how do we help them? Like today in this technological advancement, we have these audiobooks, or we have this computers where we can type out the words rather than give something in writing to them. It is easier for them to type it out and then extract the meaning of it, or using sometimes like, I mean, something as a visible thing, as a visual mode. It is easier for them to catch on to it rather than giving the writing material for them. So I will not go into the text, I mean the textual details of these parts, because you all will know, and I think you all have covered this issue also, like what is dyspraxia, what is dyscalculia. Let us not go into the detail of that, as we all know that, I mean, these are the different modes. Like these children who have dyspraxia or dyscalculia, they have this difficulty in calculating, they have the difficulty in reading, and they have the difficulty in motor skills also, like coordinating their motor skills. So what do we do for them when we come on to their vocational training part? Rather, let us go into first thinking that why vocational training. There may be a question that why vocational training for them. Now, vocational training, what does it do? It leads to a sort of a part of or a type of rehabilitation, right? Now, rehabilitation can be economic rehabilitation, it can be medical rehabilitation, it can be social rehabilitation. There are several parts, but vocational training leads on to a path of economic rehabilitation for them. And I think we can sort of agree, mostly we will agree on to that part, that not only children with learning difficulties, it is for all of us. We may be having special components, special knowledge, or special abilities also, where someone can draw well, someone can sing well, someone can write very well or speak very well. But until and unless somebody is contributing in terms of money, I mean, let us face the harsh truth, until and unless it is we are contributing to the family in terms of money, it is, I mean, everything is treated as ठीक है वो तो गाना गाते हैं, I mean, it's okay for them, but he's not a successful person. This is what ultimately the conclusion is. I shouldn't want to hurt the sentiments of anybody, but if we really delve into our thoughts, it is actually so. Like even today, economic activity is the most revered component in each family, and that is what we think, that some way or the other, try to help him with the financial regret, try to help financially to the family. So that is, I mean, in broad terms, it is considered as economic rehabilitation, and which is actually social rehabilitation. A person who has an income can be treated as a very responsible member of the family, though even maybe he is not having any other aspects, but simply he is earning something. So if we have to go along with the social norms, let us think on those terms, and then think like, if a person has to be going, I mean, if a person has to take up some employment, some sort of an employment, in that case, most of the times we see that even though he has certain capabilities, certain aptitudes, the interest pattern, the potentialities, but he is not ready for the job, actually for the job that may be the employer, whatever he is providing. So how to make him ready for the job? Like entrepreneurs or employers, they will not give much time to any person to, like, I mean, get into a training mode and then have an internship and then go into the actual job. There's not much time. So that is where this vocational training comes into the play, where a person is readied for their employment through vocational training, and that is teaching the skills to them using whatever residual capacity the person has, and then teaching that particular mode or the particular module. Maybe he's not able to catch up the entire, like if you know, if you go to a job, like if you're preparing the person for a job, and if you analyze that job, you will find that there are several layers of works, several components of the work, which goes from simple to the difficulty level. So maybe a person, or maybe a child with a learning disability, can go up only till the third level or can go up to the fourth level, maybe not to the complete job as such. It's not possible for them. That we cannot expect that much from them. But okay, we have to teach them to that third part and then match his skills to whatever employment is available in the job market. Now that's a difficult task, but we have done certain aspects and we have seen that we need not go into the general job patterns. We have to find out that which part of the job is suitable for this candidate and match him into that particular job. I hope I'm making myself clear that exactly what is, like, how the skill training is given. Now, going to, so vocational training is only incorporating certain skills into the challenged person, or maybe the person with the, I mean, the child who has the learning difficulty, so that the way he learns, those skills are transferred into the regular day to day working. But if we again go a little further backwards, like a vocational training, sometimes, we just take in a child and see, like, whatever qualification he has, whatever aptitudes he has, whatever the potential he has, and simply placing the child into a training schedule. We don't really go into the interest pattern, into the other aspects, where ultimately it can be seen that maybe his motor skills and his cognitive skills are also allowing him to learn the job, but the result of the training is dismal. He is not really doing well in that aspect. So what do we do? At, like, what if it's my personal experience, what do we do in VRC is, and it is for everybody, even with the children with the learning difficulties also, we have a process of evaluation, a vocational evaluation preceding this part of vocational training. So there may be a question that exactly what is vocational evaluation and what is the difference between vocational evaluation and vocational training. Now, vocational evaluation is just, it's a study of, like, scientific, I will say a very scientific study as to what degree of skills and what is the nature of skills that a person can learn. Now, how do we measure that? We have a, like, in a workshop or maybe in a training atmosphere, like, we place the child in a certain work situation, as we call it. In a certain situation means it's a simulated work situation. In a simulated work situation, we give a job, we give a sample job, and then we will see that how he deals with the job, right? It's an observation first. Like, firstly, we teach him the basic motor skills. We help him to identify that what are the tools and equipments required to complete a job. Only then he can go a step forward. So those are the basics, and then it goes from one step to another. Now, during evaluation, when we give a job sample for them to complete it, we can never expect, or we should never hope, that the child will do well or complete the job as is done perfectly by other children. No, they cannot do that, because, see, they never have been exposed to those that sort of a job or that sort of a work, those sort of, what are the tools and equipments. Maybe he has never even seen it, leave alone understand what it is. So we just observe, like, how he is actually taking up in that situation, how he is acting with his peers, how he is using his hand, how he is using his fingers, and maybe how he is adjusting himself to the work table. Or maybe if, say, just after 5 minutes he's taking a break, because as we know, this dyslexics or the dyspraxic person, children with dyspraxia, they, or they with the attention difficulty, they cannot continue for a long period. They have to have, they suddenly break away, they break away from the work situation, they take a lapse of time, and then they again, we have to cajole them and coax them to come back to the work situation. So what we do is basic observation. That is the best part. We have to observe that how they are working, and then form a vocational plan for this child. Like, what are the exact job measures he had taken up, what were the instruments that he was interested in, what was the work sample he took more interest, what was the job sample that he moved away, which is the one that he shunned it. If you observe, there are sometimes the facial expression shows that he's simply not interested, or he's scared to take up that job. So these are the features that we must follow very, very particularly, and then form a total result and a vocational plan for this person. So when the vocational plan is formulated, like, okay, now this child with the learning difficulty or with the learning disability also, this child is capable of doing this sort of, he can learn these skill sets to this level. Accordingly, a training module is adjusted for him. See, the specific training modules, I'm not going into it. That can be paper bag making, that can be candle making, that can be envelope making, drawing, painting. There are several things, but basic point is like, what are the skills required to do that particular job? Or what are the skills required to complete that job by himself, maybe in a group situation, or maybe in an individual means, right? So that part, we let us exclude that. We should concentrate more on the exact modalities as to how the skill is taught to him. So that set is known as vocational evaluation. And this will, we have seen this, it is our practical experience. Like, a person, when he is evaluated and then placed into a vocational training module, there is much less attrition rate, because by that time we know that his interest is in this and he's capable of doing this work. Like, sometimes, offhand, I'm giving you an example. If a person comes to us with basic education, I'm not going into, say, learning difficulty, just to give you a concrete example that where vocational evaluation helps us. Say a person, maybe with say some orthopedic problem, comes to us, just as an example, straying a little bit and giving you this example. If he comes with such an orthopedic problem, we will first see that, if he is able to stand properly, if he can stand for a long time, whether he is able to use his fingers properly, whether he is able to use his like posture. The posture is also very different, and a very important part, like while taking the training, whether he is capable of standing for a long time. So when we form a totality of what are the parameters tested during the vocational evaluation, then only we form the vocational plan. Maybe he is suitable for fitters work, or carpenters work, or computer work, whatever it is. So then when we place this child into a training situation, we know, we have that knowledge that, okay, he is suitable for this sort of a training, he is suitable to take in the skills that are required for this modular training, and we place him into the training situation. This, helps to reduce the attrition rate. And the most important aspect of a training scheme or a training schedule is, like, a person should continue with the training. The attrition rate, if it is very high, then the training schedule is an absolute disaster. Like, it goes on to a total disillusionment. Like, a person today, we have a 10 or 15 candidates. One day two persons go out, another day the third person is absent, then comes in after a long time, then the fourth person goes out, the fifth person is not being able to produce what is expected of him. So that goes to show that the proper orientation has not been done to this candidate, which is why he is not finding the training schedule very interesting. So that is where the vocational evaluation helps us to place, and to, collate the information that exactly what is suitable for this boy or the girl, and then place him into a training situation. And then when he's placed into a formal training situation, there is a sense, a set of skills, a set of syllabus which is followed and then taught to him. But we should insist, on this, especially with the children with learning disabilities. We can never expect them to form or to formulate or to follow a certain syllabus which has, components of reading, writing, motor skills, and other intellectual abilities. We cannot expect that for him to with having the continuous spectrum of it. No, it is not possible. So we have to closely follow that exactly what are the skills he's being able to learn. Give them a short break. Give them, sometimes we see these children, they are more used to, like, I mean, if a pattern is given to them, I think when you all have also worked with these children, you all have seen that rather than giving something in writing, if a figure is given or a pattern is given to them, it is easier for them to follow the pattern, part by part. So a work situation, if is given in a pattern formation, so he can collate that and he can find it in a larger spectrum and then formulate the work over there. So that is where, and we should know where to stop. Like a child, when he's being given the training, maybe after some time he faces the blockage and he is unable to go forward further learning. So that way, at that juncture, I think we should stop and we should try to find among ourselves that exactly what is hampering his going forward, what is his problem over there. So the training schedule should be very flexible. It should not be a hard and fast, like a 6 month schedule or a 12 month schedule. No, it should not be that. Rather, it should be more of a non-formal nature, and then accordingly, where he is able to, I mean, whatever he is able to learn, we will stop at that point, and then that much will be, we will write, and we will come to the conclusion that okay, this person is capable of learning only this. So that is the best part, I mean, and that, gives a sense of completion for them, to them also. Because if we go on stressing, like, okay, you have to, I mean, furthermore, that is not helpful for it. That is okay for the general children, but not for this special category of people, right? Now, I think many of us have heard of this concept of uh, learning disability and learning difficulty, right? Now, what do we, because there is a very fine difference between children with learning disability and children with learning difficulty. The word disability is like, it gives an impression that a person is less able than his peer or than his friend. But in a learning difficulty, a child with a learning difficulty just learns in a different way from the other person. Like one person, no two individuals are same in a certain aspect. So one person will learn it in a one way and the other person will learn it in a different way. So that is again a very important aspect that we should remember while training the children with learning disability, that there are individual differences and no individual are the same person. So it is where we should find out the degree to which that the person is differing from the other, and there cannot be a general set of instructions for them or a general set of modalities for them. No, it has to be almost individualistic, like to where what will be suitable for this particular boy or this particular girl. That is where we can formulate a training program, and that is where how we can overcome our challenges, like how to deal with these persons. Next, like, I mean, a very important factor is like what are some of the signs of learning disabilities, because before formulating a training schedule for them, we should keep in mind that they are a very special category of children. So while formulating a training pattern for them, we should keep in mind certain signs and then actually incorporate those factors while designing the training program for them. So when these children may be having problems with reading or writing, problems with maths, poor memory, problem paying attention, trouble following directions, like when we are teaching them, when we are giving certain instructions to them, they sometimes they become a little confused. Like, I mean, they start, the last thing they will do first, the first part they will simply forget it how to do it, or maybe the third instruction they will follow. So we have to keep this in mind, that there should be the set of instructions which should be so that they should not be having any trouble following the directions. Secondly, they may be having this element of clumsiness while working. or while actually having the training program, because this is a very innate problem of children with learning difficulties. They tend to be clumsy because there is no continuum of abilities for them, that the continuum is affected. So that is why it is not actually what we see, we feel that it is clumsiness, but what it is for them, it is actually they are doing this part of the work, then they're going to the third part of the work. So that makes that there is no continuum between what they are learning. So it is, they do it in a individualistic pattern, a grouping of whatever work is for them, but we conceive it as a lack of discontinuum, I mean lack of continuum. So we have to keep that in mind, that even though clumsiness is there in their work, we should see that how to again draw a straight line between whatever is being taught to them, that it is formulated in a pattern for them. Second thing is they have, I think again we have experienced that they have lot of trouble in telling the time concept, or the spatial concept maybe it is fine for them, but the time concept is a little difficult for them. So even if we fix up a certain level for them, say maybe these few weeks or this time is suitable for them to learn up, that may be a little problematic for them. So we have to take that into account also while formulating their training problems. And problem staying organized, I think that is again one more very important parameter for them to remember. Like, organized way is not a preeminent factor among the children with learning disabilities. They are not, generally they are not very organized. They have this problem of again assimilating things. So that again, while again trainings, having a training module or constructing a training module, we should keep into mind that they are they are organized, and that I mean whatever is being taught to them should be in small sectors, in small clumps as we call it. We have to teach them. Now most of the time, we see that a child with a learning difficulty are characterized with certain strengths also. Strengths like what they have good imagination, they have creativity, they have spatial awareness, they have visual equity, they have a practical sense also. Like if we take a common thread among all the children with learning disability, these factors come into play also. So the strengths, I think all of us should be aware of it, the parents should be aware of it, the teachers should be aware of these strengths, not only delving into their weaknesses, the strengths also should be taken into consideration, and those strengths should be incorporated while designing their training modules. And this is where we always say, like those we have trained candidates, we say that individualistic training is more effective rather than a generalized training for them, because children with learning difficulties, they cannot take in information, or they cannot collate information from general instructions and transfer it into a general learning. That is difficult for them. So the individualistic based training module is best suited for them. Now, for example, like a dyslexia, as I was saying, this pattern learning is very effective for them, especially for dyslexic children. We have seen that the dyslexic learner, he tends to remember patterns rather than sequences. Like just an individual pattern, if I give, like anything that I'm teaching, if I teach them on a certain pattern, today you will learn only this, tomorrow you will learn only the colored portion, the third day you will try to check in the green color and the red color portions, whatever we have taught to them, and this goes on forward. So that helps them to keep in mind at least the basic sequences. Otherwise, it is very difficult for them to take the continuum at a one go. They should be taught step by step. Just, rather than a sequential learning, it should be taught to them a step by step. And they should be taught by experience. They learn by experience rather than being told, and learns best when interested in a certain subject. That also, I think, we should be very careful in watching, like when we are teaching them anything, any modality of training, that should have ample components of interest pattern in them. Otherwise they will just leave it. There's no point in going along with it, because they become, because since they cannot, as again, and the same thing I will be repeating, since they cannot assimilate it very easily, they tend to, the focus of attention moves away, and that is where they become little frustrated and the entire concentration process is broken from them. So that this is again in every training module we should keep in mind that the interest pattern is very important and the sequential pattern also. So training modules for children with learning disability will be far more feasible when these components are incorporated and in their own design. Now, there are certain general support strategies also for a training module, any training module that we have for them. What is the general support strategy? The most important one, I think, what we have, so there's some of the points we will say that we have found out while actually training these candidates. We have to give them time for processing the information. Like if I say, suppose I'm teaching a certain, say, comprehension passage. Maybe I'm practicing a comprehension passage for them, or maybe say again I'm teaching say a painting work to them. Now, especially, I'll just give you an example. For a child, we did try to teach, and he came up to a certain level. But what we did was the first day we just showed him the colors. I don't know, you all may be also having training modules and you all may be having a certain way of teaching them. But what we saw in practical experiences that we first taught them the colors, just 4 elementary colors we taught them. Now, the second day we found that he was remembering to put in the green color and the yellow color. Maybe that had attracted him more, but he just simply forgot about the red and blue. He kept aside over that. So what we again taught him, again the second day, again those 4 colors were taught. So again certain time was given to him that you see, this is the red color, this is the blue, this is green, this is yellow. So this color has to be put in over here, this color has to be put in over here. It is absolutely as if teaching a child, just a child, like taking his hand and putting the color over there, taking his fingers, putting the color over there, and this is the one. Now, the third day again, when we saw that he could remember 3 colors, but not the 4 colors, and this progressed for certain times. So, what we concluded was that a certain time aspect is very necessary for them to learn something, and the time for processing of information. That is what we say. Second point is providing information in different formats. There should be, and again, as I said, that an element of interest, an element of novelty in teaching them. Like the same patterns, the same teaching aids, if you go on using for them, again, they tend to withdraw. They tend to move away from the teaching modalities. So every trainer has to keep in mind there while teaching the children with disability, while framing a training module for them, there has to be, inevitably, there has to be an aspect of novelty into that. Something different from the general format over there. So we have to find out that where his scope of interest is, where his scope of attention is, to where he is focusing his interest, and keeping those points in mind, we have to formulate the training pattern. Then, of course, the most, it's a very inevitable part is that visual and auditory resources. Today's technology has enabled us also to give various visual and auditory resources. Like in our olden days, we that I think is another pattern. Like when we frame, like even myself, when say 20 years back, when we were framing training modules for our children, it was, today I can realize that it was very monotonous, very boring at that time, because it was simply some written instructions, and we would write to them on the board and they would follow that, and on maybe also on the board as actual training kit. But today, when we have this auditory and the visual resources where you can incorporate play games, where you can incorporate colors, where you can incorporate music. So there are these various ways where you can sustain the interest pattern of these children with learning difficulties. And not only these are play methods, but basically that is exactly where we try to make the child concentrate on the aspect, and then only he will be able to, like, if that, the visual part is several colors are there, several musical parts are over there. So ultimately we try to focus on his attention pattern, on his concentration pattern, whether that is mathematics, whether that is spatial teaching, whether that is writing, or whether that is reading also. So these features come into play when we have these points incorporated into the training program. See, the children who have this problem with writing, it is, the lines are crooked, the letters are not very well formed, it goes astray while writing. They are incapable of writing it in a straight line over there. So what we should do, that we should teach them with bold letters, which, and or sometimes, this clay, the letters, I mean, which can be touched, the tactile sense also, like this is A. A wooden structure maybe is given there, or maybe a glowing part, maybe something, so, the alphabets are made of fibers which has the glowing colors. So you move the finger along with the child and tell him that this is A. Okay, move his finger along with that A, and then he learns it A. Second day again, we will tell him, where is A? Where is your A? So he will try to pick up that A over there. So this is again where these elements of interest pattern that we should keep in mind while incorporating into their training activities. Fourth part is that accessible instructions. Accessible instruction is very easy to say, but accessible instruction is not so easy to formulate, right? Those who are, we are trainers, even after years of being a trainer, we still are sometimes confused that exactly how do we modulate or how do we formulate these training schedules which will be accessible with these children with difficulty. It is very difficult for them. So what we should do more is, play games, right? It's like, I don't know, Varsha, whether you all have done this game of passing the parcel. This is a very good training module for them. Like you write something onto that, say stand up. That is written onto that parcel, and as we play the game, no, passing the parcel, the music goes on, and something visual also is going on. So the children, they are following the music, they're singing to themselves, and they're passing also. So what we are doing is their hand coordination, like pass on only to the right side. So he's passing the parcel to the right side. Maybe the left hand he is tapping over there. Maybe he's looking this side. Maybe he's looking that side. But ultimately he is passing the parcel. So when the music stops, he sees that stand up. In bold letters, it is written stand up. So the child stands up over there. Now, this may be just apparently a play method, but actually it is something that is going into their brain, which is growing into their visuals, that, okay, I have my hand has moved this way, and now I have to stand up. So that is the conclusion over there. So what we did was we taught them spatial learning, we taught them visual learning, we taught them auditory learning also, but everything through the play method. And this is a very effective way amongst all the group of children with learning difficulties. It is, we have really seen that it is very perfect. Secondly, usage of colors. Usage of colors has been a long time method of passing or informate the giving information to the children with learning disabilities. It's a time tested method also. Like we give them, say, 4 colors, 4 blocks of papers, and maybe bright colors, very bright colors, like something orange, purple, something like, not those grays and whites and blues. We avoid those, right? Shocking pink, something like that, where the attention is engaged. What is this, ma'am? What is this? He will ask. I said, okay, this is a pink sheet of paper. Now, all of you all have, where you have this pink sheet of paper? All of you all put it up. So they will put up the pink sheet of paper. Secondly, we will say one small question. Have you eaten your breakfast today? In our language, whatever language is comprehensible for them. Not only English, maybe whatever language is possible. If you have eaten breakfast, put up the pink sheet of paper or put up the green sheet of paper. So they put up the green sheet. Of course, there are confusions. They will throw the paper. They will put up this paper. They will put up that paper. But ultimately, when everybody, it in a group work, when they're all following, like most of the children are doing the work, it is so easy for the child who has not been able to follow instructions till now. He will follow his peers and see that what his friend is doing. Accordingly, he will put up that sheet. Maybe it is the mistaken color initially, but in the second step, it is the correct color. So peer group following and this play method is the most effective way of teaching something, and all the training modalities, vocational training also. Vocational training is a very big word, but if you come on to the components of it, these should be the components of having a training module for them. These are the aspects. Using technology to support. As we have today, we have this group and several other apps or several technologies also, where maybe a writing is transformed into words, words are transformed into writing. So many other methods are over there, which has simply made it easier for us to teach. See, maybe all these modalities were followed earlier also, but it was difficult for the children to follow. But now with this the technological advance, it is very easy for them to at least pick up certain threads. That is there. Very important factor is friendship group. I think we will discuss this later also. This friendship group, or the peer group as we call it, is actually a part of the training program, is actually a part of the vocational training over there. Friendship group for the others, like maybe we can elaborate a little bit on this aspect, because other vocational training modules is way away from training modules for the children with learning disabilities. There it is more formal. There it is like the syllabus is there, the work samples are also over there, so from week to week it is followed. But for these children it is so different, and the components are also very different, where this friendship group comes in. The means it is simply, it is nothing very technical. It is simply form a group among themselves, where noticeably one child is a little better off than the other. So when we sit in a group, we make the child who is a little more developed to say some story, to relate some experience, or to sing a song, something like that, which for the others is easier to follow. They contact more. The children, the more eye contact they will have among themselves rather than the formal teacher. So when the in the play group or in the friendship group, we formulate a leader, and that leader is expected to teach the other children. And this is, we have found that this is a very, very effective way. Even the child with his innermost problems, with his innermost difficulties that he has faced, he will laugh with the leader, he will cry with the leader, he will express all his softness to the leader, and ultimately he becomes clear. That is what we say, he becomes clear in his aspect. And when the leader is also interacting with him, but the trainer, the observer, he is observing that exactly where the problem is, and to what extent that can be covered by going into some other aspect which can be incorporated into his training. Third thing, the final part that we are going on to is like building routines. Building routines in the sense, like if we just say routine, children with learning difficulties are never comfortable with routine work. Maybe we cannot expect them to follow a routine. But this building routine means that whatever aspects are being taught to them, there should be a continuum for the trainer, not for the child. The trainer should know that where the child has stopped yesterday, and then pick up the thread from over there and then continue. There should not be a break in that. See, the child is doing the work on component basis, but the trainer should know that where he has stopped, and how to pick up the thread from that point and then continue with it. That is where he should be very observant, and he should be very careful that there should not be a little bit of breakage also between the time left and the time starting. That point is very important for them. So the routine is important for the trainer, not for the child over there. Finally, we have to preparing for change. Preparing for change also is a very big aspect. Like something, whatever we have taught, maybe the next day we will see that it is entirely different, entirely a different aspect that they are showing to us. Okay, take up something from that level. Maybe what we have taught, say apple, we have taught on the first day. The second day he is not being able to say apple, but he is referring to a fruit which is red in color, or he is referring to an object which is red in color, or he is referring to an object which is round in nature. So something that is associated with the fruit apple over there. So that means he has caught on to some aspects of the shape, the size, the figure, the color, whatever has been taught to him, but he's expressing it in a different way. That means maybe he is more keen on the color, so we should change our way of teaching to them and then go on to a different aspect where we give more importance, more thrust on the color portion, and then go forward over there. So these are the few points that we should remember while having a training module for children with learning disabilities. As I have mentioned earlier, there are difference between, say, formal training and a non-formal training. And formal training means there is a time schedule, there is a basic level of qualification that a person has to have, and the testing system, there is an examination system, and there is a marking system. This is the formal training system, which is absolutely not suitable for children with learning difficulties. So what we have developed, we should develop a non-formal training system. Non-formal training system means that, of course, there is a syllabus, of course, there is a time period, but these are very relaxed and very stretchable, and also, like, you can, it's flexible. Basically, it's very flexible over there. So we see that exactly when we do have a syllabus. We start teaching with the initial level, and then going up to the second level, then to the third level. But we have to know to stop when the child is not being able to take in anymore. It may be only the half of the training module is complete by that time, but there is no sense in like pressing hard. And as I started in the first point, that basically vocational training is a stepping stone towards employment. So the employer, we should start to find out those sort of an employment which will actually be suitable, where whatever aspects he has learned, whatever the training modules he has picked up, the boy or the girl, whatever the child has learned up, that is enough for the job which is being provided to him. Now the question comes that is it so easy to find such jobs nowadays? No, I agree. The job market is so bleak, the job market is so dismal nowadays, that even for the most able-bodied or the most able cognitive learning person also finds it difficult to get a job in that way. But okay, and we need not be so desolate in thinking of that way. Certain aspects, like, I mean, the employers, we tell them, like, we have this at VRCs, we have this mode of job fair, as we call it. Like, we call in employers and we call in our trainees, and we answer, we tell the employers at the initial stage that our children are of this level and they have learned skills maybe to this level. The reading skill, the writing skill, the speaking skill is up to this level. Can you provide something which will be suitable for this boy? Now, today's employers, this is at least a very positive fact, and a very affirmative fact, I must say, that quite a few employers do come up with jobs which will be catering to this group of children with learning difficulties. So it is a matter of hope, and a matter of success also, that at least 2 or 3 persons we have placed in such a jobs where a person has this learning with difficulty, but the employer has been able to detect that amongst his job profiles that he can be providing, what exactly will be suitable. But there we play a major role, like, assimilating that, okay, your job is this, but we can do this job for you. So they have picked up that way. So that is exactly where we should know. Like, but you see, at the same time, we must remember the employer is agreeable to take up children with difficulties, children with challenges, but we cannot expect that much, that the employer will provide so much of time again to orient them to the job as per his skill set. So what we should do is that primarily we should take into account, we should see, actually we should visit the factory or the outlet, wherever the employer will be taking him, and go into the job situation, exactly the job situation, or the shop floor, or wherever the job will be taking place, and actually see, like, what is involved, what are the tools he has to use, what is the space he has to use, what are the objects he has to be assimilating over there, and accordingly see into the child that he has these capabilities. And it is best, or rather it is optimum, if we can have an orientation in the job situation. Sometimes, most of the times it is not possible, but sometimes, the employers are agreeable to that fact. ठीक है, you bring in the child over here, let us see whether he can be suited to this job situation, and then place him gradually. Or sometimes it is just a homebound employment. Maybe he does not go into the office situation. That is a rare case. Mostly in some of the jobs we have placed, it is a homebound or a sheltered employment where the employer gives in the job, and it is the duty of the, or rather I should say, it is the responsibility of the caretaker or the support giver or the parents or the helping group to help the child to take up the job and finish it off over there. So situation is difficult, it is challenging, but it is not totally blank. It is not so empty. So we should not think like it is impossible to give jobs to them. It is impossible to formulate something for them which will generate an income. But we will have to see that how to go forward, and it can be done if we all provide in our support, if we all provide in our help. Then definitely it can be done over there. So in conclusion, I can say that a training schedule can be called to be successful only, again, as I told you, when the attrition rate is minimal and there are actual tangible outcomes from the training program. It is, it does not suffice that after maybe a 6 months program or a 12 months program, we give in a certificate where the name of the child is over there. He has attended the training program from this date to that date, and he bears a good moral character. This is absolute nonsense. It does not yield anything. So what we do at VRC also, we write the skill set in the certificate. We actually mention 1, 2, 3, 4 that the broad training module was this, and this child has learned these skill sets. Maybe one child has learned just 2 skill set, another child has learned 4 skill sets, another child has learned just 1 skill set. But we actually write those skill set because this will help a prospective employer to actually bear in his mind that what can I expect from this child and what I cannot expect from this child. So there is no, a lack of information or a disbalance between expectation and performance. So that is where the certification is also helpful. And if we forget this issue that children with learning difficulties cannot assimilate information, cannot come into the general walk of life, if we forget this part, then only it is easier for us to help them to come into the mainstream over there. Yes, there may be blocks, there will be hurdles. See, we cannot, ignore the base facts. We have to accept those facts, and we have to accept it that it is a non-curable a condition. But within that area, within that atmosphere, what we can do, that is most important for all of us. And I think nowadays many like me minded people have come forward where we have accepted that yes, this child has learning difficulty, there is no hiding the fact, but what we can do for this child. So we have to start, that is the yardstick, that okay, this child has dyslexia, this child has dyspraxia, but from that level, from where his residual capacity is there, whatever he has left, from that portion we should start thinking that exactly what suitable training module will be for him, which will bring him into some gainful employment over there and be a successful member of the family. So I think this is where I will end up my deliberation, and I think we can have a discussion if anybody wants to.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. It was really a new experience for, I think, all of us to get an knowledge regarding vocational training for our special kids.
Thank you.
Can we
Yeah.
have questions from the participants? You can unmute yourself and ask,
Okay.
please. Yeah, sure. Mm. Ma'am, before anyone asks, I have a question in my mind. Just in case,
Yes, please.
if any parent of a special having special children, uh, wants proper evaluation of that kid, so that they can understand that yes, my kid is having an aptitude and interest in these areas, and I can keep I can push him in that area. So is there any way out, how can
Yes.
parents can help themselves to have an proper evaluation for their kids?
Varsha, it is most like your words were being cut off, but still, I gather what you wanted to know is that whether the parents have a way out to find out that what sort of a vocational evaluation will be helpful to like identify that what he is capable of. Is that what you
Right.
wanted to ask? Yes, there
Yes.
is always a way out. Maybe in these we are not doing it, but in some other institute there will be. But basically, vocational evaluation is something that only VRCs have evolved with it. So it is only with the special educators that we
Mm.
can tell them or we can give a guideline to them that this is where you should evaluate the candidate and then place him into a training module. I don't think any other formal institute will be doing this because they only have training sessions. Evaluation
Mm.
sessions is not there for them. But if somebody comes to us, and at least we can help out with the help of the special educators to formulate this evaluation plan. Yes, we can do that.
Okay. Ma'am, just in case if any
Somebody else
parent,
was putting in a question
huh.
writing.
Yes, ma'am, we have a question in the chat. When and how do we understand that our child need vocational training?
It is for the children with learning disability, right?
Yes.
Now, there is no specific time span for this. This is again a very, it may sound very vague, but it is actually so. A person may be needing that vocational training to identify it, it comes at a very later stage or
Mm.
maybe at the basic stage. But when I think it is optimum to know that when we have identified that my child or some other child is having this learning difficulty, so it is best when he comes to the age of basic learning is over there. So maybe say when the child is about 6 to 7 years old, and from that time itself, small inputs can be given to him, and then leading on to actual vocational training. So at the onset, the parents itself can like see from their day-to-day behavior, it becomes evident at a point that he has some problems, maybe in his writing skills, maybe in his reading skill. So from
Mm.
that very point, it is so individualistic that there cannot be a standard norm for it to identify that when the training should start. It is actually when the child shows the manifestation that yes, he is not being able to take up, 1, 2, 3, 4. Then he's stopping over there. Again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, he's stopping over there. So it is at that juncture that we should start giving special attention and then bring him into some sort of a vocational training.
Hmm. Right. Okay.
Mhm.
So, yes, ma'am.
Unfortunately, like as per government policies, PRCs, I am not being able to take in children with learning disabilities because we have to go only by the specified policy and with the specific group that has been designated to us. Otherwise, we would be happy to take in such children and give them
Hmm.
some inputs at least with the basic vocational evaluation. But maybe sometimes a group talk can take place, and how this can go forward, I think some of us can sit in together and formulate a plan. That can always be done at a later stage. See, this is one of the starting points where we can again come to this platform to actually, this was just an introduction to all of us, the
Yes,
participants,
ma'am.
myself who are talking, and all the speakers throughout this week also. Now we
Mm.
can later on with your platform, we can help to come up like certain, like this group can come on for this discussion, this group can come for this training. We can do that over there. It's a very it's a very challenging task, and the fortunate thing is it's a very flexible task also.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
child, but the thing is individualistic. The best part and the most important part is it is individualistic. Parents, I must say this to all of you, we cannot generalize. We have to
Mm.
come up to the individualistic pattern.
Yes, ma'am. Very true. Especially in case of children with learning disability, what is the main problem that we face that kids are having very normal or above average IQ. So they are very much aware of their
Yes,
problems. That enhances
yes,
their
very much.
low self esteem and confidence. So the as early as we can help them enhance their vocational and their abilities, that will help them to develop their confidence and esteem.
Absolutely, absolutely. If I just bring in a parallel comparison level, see in our center, we have children with visual disability coming in people with hearing impairment coming in, people with orthopedic impairment coming in. So sometimes when a hearing impaired person comes in to our center and he is all dejected and like, he hears many and he faces certain social stigmas also. So when
Yes.
he comes to us, he has this absolute low level of self-confidence. But what we do is we tell him that Dekho, there is another person who cannot see, and he has to feel and crawl and face such a lot of difficulty and then reach the center. Whereas you cannot hear, but you have your hearing aid, you can follow the lip movement and you can at least take in the essence of what is being told to you. So you are much more fortunate than your other friend that who has this seeing ability. So
Mm.
that you can be a support for your friend over here. So that gives him a sense of superiority. This is exactly what, and he extends his helping hand towards the child who has this visual impairment. Similarly, if we take in these cases with this group also, as you very rightly said, that they have a high level of cognizance, they can understand that what they are doing, but it is only they cannot place it properly. So what we should do is that find out, as we said, that friend group. From
Mm.
there, if somebody can come forward a little bit and help the other boy or the other girl, that this is the way it should be done, that is best done over it. And it can increase the level of self confidence to any extent, absolutely to any extent. Like, I remember one aspect when this online submission first started taking place, like when applying for a job. Like, I am also not that, like, we are the absolute senior citizens, so we are not that adept in this computer working. But one boy had come in to our center who was wheelchair bound, and he was totally frustrated, having a strong dejection, absolutely, and not taking in any inputs. And he was like, sometimes, this overprotection and over negligence, these two factors are over there. Sometimes the overprotection is also very bad. His parents
Mm.
were of that sort, absolutely doting onto him, not being able to, and not teaching him the difficulties of life. See, when a person has a, we must be supportive, but we must also make him learn that there are hurdles, there are obstacles that you have to face in life, and you have to overcome that. So when this fellow came in and wheelchair bound, then at that time this online submission of application started in, and he was good in English and all. So we gave a little special attention to him, made him learn how to submit his application online, and we told him that you help the others. Within a week, like, when the other students started flocking to him, that Amit, tell me how to do this, or please do this for me, he gained that self confidence. And we absolutely saw the way he was sitting. Initially he was sitting like me, slouched, huh? When he was so capable and when everybody flocked to him, he gained that importance, and he was sitting straight, and one by one, that's what he would say, one by one, come one by one today, I will help you. Just like how we used to tell, how the instructors would deal with the student, he had copied that and he had followed that. And see, he realized that aspect in him, that yes, this is one positive point in me, and I can transfer that to my friends. So this
Mm.
is, daily life situations can help us to gain confidence. We need not go into big textual concepts and then build in those. We know that is not necessary. Small things of daily life, we just have to identify those and then convert it into some sort of instruction. Yes. Great.
Mm. Nice example, ma'am. Uh, yes, Vanita ma'am raised her hand. You can unmute yourself and question, please.
Good evening to the whole group. Ma'am, very well said. I've been listening to the conversation before the session also. Nice to know you, ma'am. This is Vinita Dua. I am working
Thank
in
you
a
so
school as a school counselor in Delhi. And
much.
definitely because it's
Right.
a mainstream school, so we have a lot of children with learning disabilities identified and being helped. The major problem
Right.
that I generally face is that convincing the parents, and I'm working with the in a girls' school, right? So
Right.
working
Right.
in a girls' school, though I also have a lot of um, children who are doing very well. Especially, I can also quote another example, a live case study. This
Right.
child mother was working with a sorry, had boutiques, two boutiques, and she
Okay.
went on to do a course in fashion designing.
Mhm.
Absolutely beautiful child, and just because of this, had lost self-esteem, but then regained within the school hours, only within the school time, and
Correct.
now is doing fashion shows and all those things because
Mhm.
her capability completely is now exploited. You know
Okay.
that ways. But
Okay.
what we face again, ma'am, is sometimes parents, the
Yes.
problem that they do not accept that this is a disability,
Yes.
and they do not understand that she may not be able to do certain things. I'll not say everything. So
Correct.
that becomes, we really need people like you to come and address the parents, because parents need to be convinced
Yes.
that they cannot be they cannot go into the mainstream. Like in our school, right from class ninth, we are now changing the
Right.
subjects also,
Okay.
to the alternate subjects like painting,
Right.
music and computer application instead of maths, etc.
Yes.
But
Yes.
then convincing the parents, because again, coming back to Indian situation and girl child, they said disability lag jayega. We
Hmm.
can suffer that part, that
Sigma
my
हो
child
जाएगा.
can suffer. We are not interested कि
Yes.
this word should be anywhere. So I, of course, I've been successful, let's say in 80% of the cases. But
Correct.
then there are 20% of the parents who, even though the child may not be able to do, does not have that potentiality to do higher maths or things, they still want, especially when it comes to maths.
I understand, Vanita.
And
This is.
secondly, sorry, ma'am, I'm sorry.
Okay, please
Secondly is,
continue.
secondly, there are hardly any places, you rightly said, for getting vocational assessment done for specifically these children. And as Varsha also said, being higher on IQ, they themselves, they feel very lost sometimes. What is ma'am saying? What is mummy papa demanding me to do? I am able to, I'm yet not able to. So that's
Hmm.
another aspect which needs to be addressed.
Correct. Correct.
Hmm. The most important thing that comes in their mind, ma'am, that मैं तो कोशिश कर रहा हूँ पर मैं नहीं कर पा रहा, लेकिन सब बोल रहे हैं कि मैं बदमाशी कर रहा हूँ.
Exactly. Exactly.
This thing.
That is why, see, the interpretation, see, we, whenever we speak of children with learning disability, the movie that Tare Zameen Par comes into everybody's mind, and everybody starts quoting that. But see, all children may not be fortunate to have a teacher like Amir Khan. Okay, so it is for but that was a very beautiful example. But Vanita, coming to your point, as you rightly said, the rather than the children, the parents are more difficult to handle with. Huh?
Ji
You
ma'am, ji ma'am.
you can train, you can give anything to the child will be acceptable. I mean, he is ready to accept things, but the parents are the most, like, the troublesome part, I should say. But what we do, we bring in we have a special awareness program for the parents of these group of children,
Yes.
where, I can understand, I'm sure, as a counselor you have also told many times, but just in one day it will not help. Just take a second day, take a third day, and try to impress upon the positive facts as well as the negative facts also. See, we tend to give to the parents a very rosy picture, that नहीं नहीं नहीं,
Hmm.
आपके बेटे से तो ये हो सकता है, आपके बेटी देखो इतना स्मार्ट है, she will be able to do this. But somewhere we shy away from saying the negative parts. So the first part is, however harsh it may sound, however dreadful it may sound, but give those points that देखो, this is it. Like I said, no, it cannot be cured. You have to believe this, that it cannot be cured. Now, then henceforth, going from that part. See, Vanita, I will just give you one example. Like the same boy, I was stating, who helped others in giving this online submission. They come from a very affluent family. And that is again another troublesome part also. They expect, the world to be at the feet of their children, which is not possible. So what happened was, he came in and he said, Ki, Madam, his boy wanted to go to the washroom. When he came back, we have this the grab rails also, for a child in a tricycle or a wheelchair to go along with. So there were certain dust particles. I mean, it was dusty, I will say that. You know what the father came and told me, Madam, we have a huge building. Vanita,
Hmm.
Varsha, how huge we have
Yes,
the
ma'am.
building.
Yes, ma'am.
And he came and told us, Madam, your building, it is very ill kept. It is so dirty. And I said, dirty? What is it exactly? बोले, नहीं, बहुत धूल पड़े हुए हैं on the grab rails. I said, really? So what happened? They said, no, I did not want my boy to, like, touch those grab rails, and that is what grab rails are for. No, but he had to simply go along with his wheelchair. So I acted very horrible towards him, and I told him that right now, if I go to your house, I would like to check out whether all your house railings are as clean as you're demanding it to be. And secondly, wherever your boy will go, there you are asking that let us place him into a job, but don't expect that all the work situations will be so clean and so hygienic also. At least we are providing that to you. So be prepared to accept that. And naito, just forget it. Your child will never be able to come up to the state level. That is where, you have to be harsh. You have to talk to them in a harsh way also. Like be practical there. I understand the parents are very difficult, but of course, again, parents being parents, they are so, like, I mean, they are so disturbed. That is why they put on that attitude. I understand that. I, being a mother also, I know how it would have been like that. But we have to draw a balance between our instructions also. So I know, Vanita, that this is difficult issue, but you can have some comfort in this, say, thinking that all of us are having this issue. So if we only hope that maybe by several sittings, by several sessions, several awareness programs, we'll be able to convince them. Drawing examples also, right?
Right. Ma'am, you're mute.
Sorry. I wanted to share another thing here,
Yes,
Varsha, today. Like
yes,
because I saw it was on vocational training. I did
yes,
not have the calendar, and I have few children. Varsha, I really request you to hold this for a public thing. I can invite my parents also so that they can listen to my
Definitely,
parent
ma'am.
once a
Actually,
time,
yes.
so that it could be for general public, maybe for a smaller time, but then they'll get more idea
yes,
coming from the
Definitely.
expert. It generally helps. Ma'am, as you said, I completely agree to that. We should be straightforward. I was listening to this in America. They have started talking about that you have to give, even when it is surgery, they show that these are the things
yes,
and this is how things will be done.
correct,
Sometimes simulated part also is shown, right?
yes, yes.
But in India, because of this, will hurt the parent
The
attitude, or this
sentiments.
will hurt the child attitude. Actually, ye nahi kehna, especially in the mainstream, teachers are being told by the management and the principal, ye baat aapne aise nahi kehni. It will
Correct,
hurt the parent and they will get against you.
yes,
I am trying. I completely agree with you. I am also trying to be very straightforward nowadays, and I prefer to show them some movie or some video ki acha ye jaake dekhiega. I'll send you the link. I'll send
yes,
you. So I definitely, as you also said, I keep on telling them. In case of career counseling, of course, I tell them Three Idiots, and in case of dyslexia, it is always Tare Zameen Par. These are most relatable, though
yes,
I tell them ki though it is a very different kind of picture they show. It may not be possible in the practical life. Yet again, you must see and show to your child to get a proper orientation. Yet
yes,
again, everything, even if I am facing problem with the children who have Down syndrome, people who are
Mm.
they with Down syndrome, rather they come to terms very easily. But when it comes to borderline MR, they are
yes,
not ready to, because उनको लगता है कुछ गड़बड़ है, आप झूठ बोल रहे हो, आप स्कूल के हो ना, you are trying to be
correct,
smart
correct.
and you are talking the language of the school. Probably school is asked you to portray this thing that way. So I have stopped assessing. That's where I told you before also. I do not assess. It's a mainstream school. I ask them to get the assessment done from somewhere else.
Right, right, right. Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
That
ma'am, I really appreciate. Thank you. I really feel that Varsha has given me a platform where I can speak and I can really share my problems.
Actually, Vanita, this is what is actually how an interaction or how this deliberation stage should be. Everybody should feel free to give their opinions. That is where we learn from each other. See, I have a lot of things to learn from you. I have a lot of things to learn from Varsha and all the others who have participated. And maybe my little experience that I have in teaching and giving the training to the candidates will also, we draw examples, and maybe someday it will help you. It is not only, see, children are children. For all of us, our children are children. Maybe with learning difficulty, maybe with visual impairment, maybe with hearing impairment, what it is, some functional disability is over there. So when we see such a child, we will remember, Arey, Vanita had told me this, chalo, let us practice it. So that
Mm.
is where platform should be for this. It really sharing ideas, really exchanging ideas. So it was a wonderful experience for me also. Thank you so much, Varsha. Right.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much, all of you. Uh, just informing that yes, Resilience is planning to organize an open live streaming platform for everyone, all the parents, free of cost, and very soon, hopefully. And recently on Mental Health Day, we had also organized a 5-day series on on Mental Health Day. It was understanding children with accepting children with special needs, and it was completely on that. So
Right.
we have that videos on our YouTube channel as well as on our Facebook page. I will
Okay.
definitely share the link and you can go through it, Vanita ma'am, especially for you. You can also share that with your parents, because
Thank
the
you.
whole
Thank you.
5-day series is it was excellent, and specifically on acceptance day 2 by Professor Dr. Nilanjana Sanyal.
Oh, she,
Acceptance. Yes,
okay.
ma'am.
I missed it. She was my teacher. Right. And
Okay.
she knows me personally very well. I to know her. And I just look upon to her like anything. Like she was one of my lighthouses, you can say. Absolutely. Right.
She is for all of us actually.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
I was her last batch before she retired.
Oh, oh, I see. I see. I see. Then we should be having the presentations, Varsha. I would really like to have
Definitely, ma'am. I'll send you my links of my Facebook page as well as YouTube page. You can see whenever you want,
it.
and everyone can share with your parents. And yes, it was excellent for all overall acceptance and everything. First needs children with special needs.
Yes.
So hopefully we can enhance acceptance in our parents and
Right.
awareness also.
Among the others, like there are many others, and a common platform sometimes maybe from some an unexpected corner, some help comes in, and from some unexpected way also a certain support comes in. So the more scattered we are, the more broaden we try to broaden our periphery, it is more helpful for all of us, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Let's
ma'am.
hope for a better tomorrow. That is what.
Definitely.
Thank you,
Okay.
Varsha, so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much. So we can close down for today. Thank you to all the participants
Yes.
and
Thank you.
Vanita
Thank
ma'am
you.
for excellent conversation.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
And
I'm
before session, Madhushri ma'am also, we had a nice conversation with you.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'm sure in future occasions also we'll be meeting some way or the other. And